You've even questioned whether he's a fit as a head coach, considering his background with him as an OC. What do you see from Ben as far as what makes him an effective head coach?
I see a sense of leadership, and a confidence in him, honestly, that exudes into all of us. Um, and I think that's his best quality when it comes to that sense, or in a head coaching sense, is just that confidence and that demand of excellence from everybody in the building and from himself. So he holds everybody to that standard and holds himself to that standard on a consistent basis. So I think he's been doing a great job at it.
The catch you had along your own sideline in the first quarter, Caleb runs out. Walk through kind of what you saw there and Caleb's ability to get it there.
Yeah, it was a bit of a broken play. Look back at the quarterback, seen him scrambling, seen he was scrambling. So we just made a play on the DB that was defending me to try and get to some open space in the direction that he was rolling out in. And, it was a kind of a piercing throw. He threw it on the money, right on the laser. So, I was able to, get it and reel it in on the sideline, get 2 feet in. And, we kind of went fast just because didn't know if I was completely in bounds. But, yeah.
What's unique about Caleb in those scramble situations?
He's just super talented with it. There's, not too many arm angles he can't throw from, body positions, whether he's rolling left, rolling right, whether he's, going backwards, going forwards. He always generates the power to be able to get the ball where it needs to be. So, you always have to be ready in those scenarios. But, I don't see anybody doing it like him.
Touched on Ben's leadership. How have you seen that show maybe the last day or so coming off, obviously a tough, disappointing loss in the opener?
Yeah, I think it's been great, you always find out, who people really are when that adversity hits. And, he's remained consistent, in who he is, just letting us know that, what we put out there wasn't good enough. A few too many mistakes out there, and that's what kind of leads to the loss. But, where we're headed is a direction towards the Detroit Lions and focusing on that and, understanding what we did wrong and trying to get better for the future and focusing on the game plan this week.
Collectively as an offense, what's the process of getting all the false start issues shored up quickly?
I think it's just continued repetition, honestly, getting back to the work of it. That's something that, I think is just a repetition and just, being able to maintain focus throughout the entire duration of a game and throughout the duration of a play and everybody being on the same page. So that chemistry and different things, would hopeful to be settled by now, but obviously we had too many coming into this game. So, we'll get that corrected.
And this idea anticipated just because of how loud Ford Field is that you're going to probably have to use the silent cadence.
Mm-hmm.
How do 11 guys learn to count at the same time and to all be on their teeth?
Right. No, it's not easy. It's one of those things in football.
We'll find him.
Yeah, that's a fine. Yeah.
Definitely fine, for sure. Nah, you good, man. It's hard, that's one of those things in football that I guess from a fan perspective, you don't realize how, difficult it is that we all kind of have to silently, know when, to start to play. So we have different mechanics and of course within the linemen and all the quarterback and all the cadence and different things that they have going on, for receivers it's a little bit easier. We just look at the ball. So, but yeah, we'll get that sorted out because we know it's going to be a loud game with, Ben making his return. So we'll get it corrected.
From your games last year, what are your thoughts on the Detroit defense and how tough they are?
Yeah, they play, a hard brand of football, They are always running to the ball, are very physical. So, we're going to have to bring that same energy towards them. And that's throughout their offense as well. So, the more physical team, more often than not in this game is going to come out a winner. So, we're going to be on the right side of that. But, lots of talented players. I'm excited to go against Arnold, in my same class, seeing his improvement from last year and looking back on the film. So, I'm excited for the matchups, but it should be good one.
Last time you went there,
Got you, Ness, fam.
the Thanksgiving game last year, what was that 24-hour period like for you, the end of the game and then firing Eberflus the next day?
Man, honestly, being in my rookie season, I really was just very locked in on my job and my responsibilities, if I'm being honest. So I was, went into that, getting all of my corrections for that game, which I had a few, and understanding what I needed to do better in that game and the plays that need to be made and all those different things. And then, with the coaching staff and all those different things, I was just, kind of, had the blinders on, focus on my goals. So it was, kind of obviously a shock to organization and all those different things. But, when I had the mindset of just focusing on what I can control, it didn't really change much for me, honestly.
When you talk about increasing your focus as a receiver, you're working on that. This first game, what did you notice about that growth and the amount of defense that you got?
Yeah, I feel like I put it on display a good bit. You know, I feel like I definitely felt a little bit more comfortable out there, and think the film proved that as well. You know, I had a couple flashes of playmaking ability. I had that one on the sideline that I wasn't able to grab that I can come down with at the end of the day as well. So, you know, it was kind of a teetering of like, you know, a lot of that putting on display, and some things I could be better at. So definitely feel, you know, from my first game last year to my first game this year, definitely a big improvement. But this is really just the baseline. We're looking to, you know, continue to do bigger and better things.
On the touchdown in the fourth quarter, what did you like about seeing that concept come to life?
Yeah, it was awesome. You know, we practiced it throughout the week. Was a look that we were really confident in. You know, and Ben and the offensive staff had installed. So, was just trying to perfect it, and it was actually a rep that we the timing wasn't exactly how it needed to be in practice, and that was the only rep that we had got at it. So me and C Will got a couple reps after practice, just getting the timing right, because it was obviously a kind of a fake stock into a passing play. So just getting the timing right, and it worked out in the game. Was able to, you know, make it a one-score game.
What was your responsibility in the timing aspect of things? As you ironed it out.
So it was obviously, you know, just kind of selling, like I was going for the block and then just kind of shedding, and getting loose. From the timing aspect, it was, you know, I don't know if we're getting down to like the milliseconds of it, but it was just being on a certain chemistry, certain aspects, so that way when Caleb was done with his fake, I was open for him.
Rome, Ben said just earlier that everybody kind of had to get their hands dirty in the run game, including you, DJ, everybody, you know, he saw you in the backfield. What's your evaluation of kind of how that's coming together and what you can do going forward to get it going a little bit more?
Yeah, I thought we did a pretty good job in the receiver room, honestly, with our physicality in the run game. I thought we, you know, had covered our guys up and, you know, made an impact in that fashion for sure. But obviously, there's things to improve on as that as well, you know, in the run game as well, and we play a part in that. So, you know, I thought we did a good job, but it's going to be another test here with the Detroit Lions, you know, with that physicality and getting the run game going, especially on the perimeter. So excited for it.
Somebody mentioned Amon-Ra earlier. Have you picked Randall L's brain just about what Amon-Ra does well?
You know, I haven't got the chance to do that. I've studied Saints game a good bit though. You know, his physicality in this division. You know, he's a guy that you have complete and total respect for because he goes out there, he does the dirty work, you know, in the trenches, and then he goes and makes the tough catches over the middle, makes the deep plays, has the screens, all this. So his game encompasses a lot. So when you studying him, you know, it's all different facets of his game. So I have a kind of a relationship with Say as well. So I've asked him a few questions about that stuff. Haven't gone through L to get to him, but that's a good idea. I should ask him his perspective.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks, Rob.
All right, I said my piece yesterday, so I'll go ahead and open it up.
And you were such a big part of the Lions turnaround there. Because of that, I think a lot of the fans were upset that you decided to join a division rival. Even Brett Holmes said he was surprised a little bit by your decision. Did you take any of that into account as far as, you know, what it would mean to the Lions and their fans and how upset they were when you factored in your decision to come here?
Well, I would say this, Carlos, good to see you. But everything last year ran through my head, and that was one of the unfortunate parts of making that decision. Was you were saying goodbye to a lot of friends in a great place, and so my family, myself, we have a lot of strong relationships there in that community. Hopefully that continues to stay that way as well. But, you know, we felt like this was the best opportunity for myself and my family, and we were really excited about coming to Chicago. And so, you know, at times you have to make tough decisions, and that's really how that one went down.
I asked Dan on Monday how he considers, you know, your relationship. He said you'll always be a friend. You said you hadn't heard from him since August, I guess. Have you heard from Dan? Did anybody reach out and wish you good luck before Monday night's game from that organization?
Yeah, we texted back and forth a few weeks ago, and so we have been in touch. But you know, that friendship's always going to be there. I view him like family, and I think he would tell you the same thing. And so that'll never change. We have fond memories of back when I was just a young snot-nosed computer punk, as he likes to call it, in Miami. And you know, I feel like we both grown up in this profession of coaching. You know, he'd been in it for a long time as a player, and you know, we both come a long way. So you look back at that Miami staff back in 2012 and 2013, and there were a lot of really good coaches on that staff, and you know, that's part of the journey, is seeing where everyone goes.
Understanding how much focus is on the football side this week, and what's it gonna be like for you Sunday when you walk on the sidelines on the other side of Ford Field and reflect, if at all, on this journey?
Yeah, I think my mind's going to be about just winning the football game, and that's really what it's going to come down to, is us going out there and looking to find our first victory of the season. And so it'll be a tough environment. You know, that place has really turned into one of the strongest home field advantage places, I think, in the National Football League. And so we'll have our work cut out for us. We'll have to be able to communicate within that hostile environment, and you know, I think we'll find out a lot about ourselves.
When you have a, Ben, when you have a,
talked over the last few months about Caleb and his throwing accuracy, you keep going back to his footwork, the feet being the starting point for all of that. What did you see as far as his feet being aligned and his mechanics Monday?
There was a lot of good that came out of it when he was doing it properly. Ball came out on time, and you know, I thought he was delivering accurate footballs, but it's still not 100% all the time, and that's something that we're working through.
Ben, were you happy with the time that you were, I guess, still had left on the clock when you were breaking the huddle? In other words, did you feel like you were breaking the huddle quick enough to do everything you want to be doing pre-snap?
I don't think we ran into any delay of games. We did have to burn through 2 timeouts because one was that 4th down. I was a little late getting that call in, and another one we were gonna probably have a delay had Caleb not called the timeout. And so other than that, though, I thought the calls were getting in decent and orderly fashion, and you know, we'll continue to speed up that process in terms of breaking the huddle from there on out.
Can you elaborate on what some of the such good knowledge
of the other roster that you're facing this week, how do you communicate that to your coaching staff?
Yeah, I think they know. They watch the tape. They're really good coaches, and so they know who their playmakers are, and maybe some perceived weaknesses on their roster. Every team has strengths and weaknesses, and so I let them do their due diligence, and it's always good to have different eyes on it. And you know, we talked last night about their roster a little bit, and we'll continue to do that over the course of the week here.
Because you know stuff that's not on tape, though.
Sure.
And that was last night, that conversation, just?
Yeah, a couple things might have popped up, but once again, we got some really good, smart coaches, and they know what the tape says.
And TJ and Jalen went through pretty extensive workouts before the game Monday. Looked like they were moving around well. Are you expecting them to play this weekend?
Hopeful. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. We're you know, we're working through treatments right now. We'll have a walkthrough here tonight, and then we'll release our preliminary report here this afternoon. So
elaborate on what some of the responsibility that Caleb might have in terms of the false starts that were out there relative to cadence, if that is part of it.
Yeah, it's all of us, but I think whenever you're the quarterback, and certainly as the play caller myself, you know, you take a lot of responsibility for that. And so if we're not all getting off at the same time, or if we're having procedure issues, then yeah, you look at the play caller and the quarterback first and foremost, and it's really the responsibility of everybody else from there to make sure we're getting it right. So once again, that's a huge point of emphasis here this week.
And did it surprise you at all that Detroit had an offensive struggle against the Packers?
Well, I mean, it's week 1 in the NFL, and so there's really a lot of unknown that pops up, and I thought Green Bay came out flying around. I thought that's what showed up on their tape, was that defense was all over the field. They were relentless, and so I mean, they have some young players up front, and so I anticipate them to be much improved this week.
And on your first play of the final drive, you guys came out of the change of possession break, and then it was a little bit slow getting in, and then the snap ends up hitting DJ while he's in motion. What all happened in that sequence?
Yeah, those were some of our last plays of the game, and we weren't fully on the same page on that.
What was the response you got from Caleb as you went through some of the problems in that game Monday?
Very positive. You know, like he's been the same. He's been consistent really from the springtime to training camp till now, and it's been looking in the mirror. What can I do better? He's very coachable. I think it's been great. It's been a really good process, and I can't stress enough how good the support system is around him, between the coaches in that room with JT Barrett and Declan and Press, and then along with Case Keenum, someone else that has a lot of experience in this league playing this game. So I think we're really good in terms of cleaning up the mistakes and moving forward.
You said yesterday you thought DJ was okay. Was that the case?
That's the hope.
That's the hope.
Yeah, we'll see the report later.
Would you like would you like from Odunze, where can you?
No, I thought all those receivers, and I'll talk about Rome in just a second, but they all had to get their hands dirty in the run game, and so they were very willing to do that last week. Obviously, the running game didn't take off to the effect that we wanted to, but he had a number of jobs there where, from blocking DBs to linebackers to cutting off defensive ends in the running game. So that was the first thing that popped off the tape, and then he was very detailed in his route running as well. He created some separation when it was close, and so I think there's a lot of things to build on.
And what do you wanna see from Kyle to find a way to use him in the running games?
Monungai? Yeah, I need to call more runs. We probably were at under 20 for called runs for the game. And so I need to call more so that we get him in the game a little bit more. But that's something that EB and I have talked about, just making sure he has more carries going forward.
Just curious, you said Dan Camp called you, it's not, what did you call him?
Oh, shoot. I don't even remember. That was a long time ago. Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Just didn't play 4 quarters of good football. I think, all phases, I think it's very easy to try to point to one person, one phase of the game, but at the end of the day, when you look at that fourth quarter, none of us really played well. I mean, offense, defense, special teams, we had a block punt, missed a field goal. Defense, we got gas on the run game, and obviously the quarterback was able to make some plays with his feet as well. So I just think we have to have a finisher mentality to win those type of ball games against really good opponents. And, in this league, I'm a full believer in that. You don't win games, you lose them. And I think we made too many mistakes towards the end of that game, and we wasn't able to close it out.
The last play of the first half, you guys allowed them to get a completion that got them in a field goal range. What's the mindset going into that play, knowing the whole situation at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think DA's philosophy, and he'll tell you this, he's not going to not be aggressive. You know what I mean? I think at the end of the day, we're playing really good defense throughout the game. He doesn't want to get in certain situations, just start playing soft defense. You know what I mean? And I think, we had a man coverage deal, and he was able to, receivers was able to run away from our DB's leverage, and he made a play. But I just know his philosophy, and you guys know DA. He's gonna call the game the way he's been calling the game, regardless. Now, obviously, there are certain situations where he's gonna call different defenses, but for the most part, we're gonna be aggressive and challenge receivers. Let's continue to challenge them. Let's play our technique, play our game.
With Ben coming from Detroit, he's got a pretty good scouting report on their quarterback, a lot of their receivers. How do you take in that information, and in what ways could that help you?
Me personally, man, I just watched the film. Obviously, we're familiar with this team from last year, and even watching, the Green Bay game and some of the games last year. They want to get the run game established, and I think that's something they're going to try to go out there and do. Obviously, Monday night, we let a couple runs kind of gash us there. So I think with the 2 running backs that they do have, really good running backs, they're going to try to establish run early. And then we know in Jared Goff, everything off that run game, now you have the play action, you have all the over routes, and you have, you have start linebackers getting 8 boxes or 8 people in the box, is able to get a lot of space on the back end with their, talented receivers. So if I'm looking at the game, that's kind of thinking they want to attack us, and I'm pretty sure Ben would say the same thing. But I watch a ton of film just on my own, and I kind of can get that conclusion from this team. They're still a really, really, really good team. I mean, regardless of how week 1 kind of started, we know how dangerous they can be for sure.
Kevin, on the pick 6 and the timing of that blitz, it seemed like DA really had a good pulse on things. How did you feel in that moment, like the way that he was calling the game, to know that's the right moment to strike when you got a quarterback that's rattled back there?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, DA's an aggressive guy, and I love that mentality. I think looking at the timing of it, and just me personally, I think when I was looking at the game plan and kind of how it was going, the quarterback really wasn't doing a lot of checking at the line of scrimmage. And we knew on 3rd down they would go and empty or send it back out wide and then bring it back to the backfield just to see who was in man or zone. So I think the disguises was really good, and we kind of knew that he was going to be in. I guess the history of Dennis Allen, when we were lining up everybody in the line of scrimmage, most teams try to throw screens and stuff like that, or just quick game. And I think it was just a great play by Nashawn to be able to kind of read the quarterback and just be able to sit on that route and catch a pick six. So it was a huge play in the game for sure.
When he jumped the out route there, I mean, it seems like it's a really hard play for a wide receiver to
Right.
make. Like, is that always going to be to the advantage of the DB there?
I mean, I think throwing the speed out to the field when the ball's on that hash is going to be tough anyway. Like I said, I think Nashawn just made a great break and make a great play. And like I said, it was just a great timing of the blitz because there really wasn't a lot of other options for him in that scenario. They ran a speed out, then they ran a big 7 cut. I don't know if he could have just run all the way back, scramble back, and try to throw the ball up in the air, but it'd have been a tough play for the quarterback. So, like I said, I think it was just a great time and blitz from DA. Just a great call.
But when you go through the Lions versus Green Bay, what struck you about that video last Sunday of watching a Lions offense that had been so explosive not find it in their first game in a new coordinator?
Yeah, man, I think just their defense was flying around. Like I said, I think just watching the film, they wanted to get the run game going. They weren't very successful of it. Obviously, they hit a couple runs, but I think the disguises that they was doing out there in Green Bay as well was causing Jared Goff to obviously check the ball down a lot of times, and the tackling was good. Like you said, I mean, a couple guys missed some tackles, but if somebody missed a tackle, it was 3 or 4 other guys swarming to the ball. So I just think for us, it's a great film to watch to say, hey, we need to swarm like those guys and play the same defense we played the first 3 quarters of the game. We just had to finish strong. And I think we're going to this game very confident because obviously we're familiar with this team. We had some close games last year with this team. So we just got to go out there and finish the ball game.
So if you're watching a game, say like the Packer Browns game Sunday, how would you observe the game, let's say, differently than the casual fan, especially as a defender?
I mean, for one, I have, on our tablet, we kind of have the all 22 film, so we obviously can see everything going on versus, if you're just watching a TV copy of a game. Being in the league a little bit, I kind of know certain disguises and like they may be showing one type of coverage and they're going to another one, but if it's showing blitz and then playing cover 2 or whatever it may be, and just kind of seeing how that affects the quarterback and how he's reading those coverages. Yeah, so I'm just kind of watching it from, I guess, a chess match type of deal versus then just, I guess most fans were just watching, hey, Michael Parsons versus this guy. You know what I mean? Like I'm just kind of watching the whole game from not just the exact personnel, but actually like the X's and O's parts of the game.
Kevin, back to Monday, what did you see in the progression from J.J. McCarthy from those first 3 quarters to the fourth? The stats obviously show he was really good in the fourth.
Sure.
Were you sensing a quarterback that had a little bit, that was more comfortable or a little more decisive or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think he just did a great job of, I guess, keeping his composure, staying poised. Like I said, I think we had him a little rattled earlier in the game. And honestly, I mean, I think a lot of people would have been. I mean, if you think about that first drive we had, I mean, it's probably one of the loudest environments I've been in a regular season game. Like I couldn't even hear myself communicate. It was really loud. We was able to call some false starts and stuff like that. But I just think he did a good job of staying composed throughout the game. And obviously, KO, their head coach, called some really good plays. They stayed with the run game. And I think once the run game kind of got going for them, it kind of opened up some other things, as their offense. So I think he just did a good job of staying composed.
Due to the personnel that the Lions have, like receivers, tight end, or even engineers in the passing game, do you have to prioritize like who to stop first, or how do you game plan the offense like that?
No, I mean, I think you have to, I wouldn't say pick your spots, but you have to decide what do you want to stop first. And I think if you're thinking about their team and their offense, you want to stop the run game first. I think Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery is probably the best, if not one of the best backfields in the league. And kind of knowing how they want to attack offenses, they want to get the run game going so they can set up the play action passes, the boost. Everything starts with the run game. So I think if you stop that first, and then after that, you just got to win your one-on-ones. They have talent all over the field, like you said, with the tight ends, the receivers, and obviously Jared Goff is a Pro Bowl quarterback as well. So I think if we can stop the run game and be able to mix and disguise our coverages to get him to check the ball down like he was doing a lot in Green Bay game, I think that's a formula for success. And we have to do that and just fly around. I mean, play free, go make plays, get some turnovers, and try to duplicate what we did on Monday night. Just 4 quarters instead of 3.
Kevin, Deshaun's pick created a pretty good swell of momentum, and I think you guys had 3 and outs the next 2 possessions. How do you describe just sort of that surge that you had for that entire third quarter, really?
It was incredible. I mean, we was having a lot of fun out there, honestly. I just think just for us as a team, us as a defense for sure, just making sure we're staying locked in the entire time. Not that we got out of focus or nothing like that, but just being able to finish. And really, when we get in teams in these situations, regardless if our offense is struggling, whatever, man, if we're up 17-6, we should be finishing the game. You know what I mean? Like we should go out there with the confidence and the belief that, that's enough. You know what I mean? Like no matter what happens with the offense, no matter where they put the ball at, block, field goal, whatever it may be, we should be able to get a stop. And I think that was kind of the biggest things in the game. We weren't great in those red zones. The last two red zone possessions, they was able to get touchdowns. And, I kind of look at that. It's like, that's the turning point for us on defense. If we can get those stops in the red zone, we're still up. You know what I mean? But we allowed those touchdowns.
What would it mean to get Jalen back?
It'll be big. Honestly, like you said, Jalen is one of the best, if not the best corner in the league, in my opinion. He's a shutdown corner. You can just put him on their top receiver and you don't have to worry about it. So, and he's a leader in our defense as well. He brings a certain swagger, personality to our huddle and our defense and our team. So obviously we can get a guy like him back. It's huge for us.
Couple more, please. In situations like you just mentioned in the fourth quarter, is that a momentum thing or a mental thing for the defense?
I think it's an execution thing. I don't think it's more of a momentum can be a real thing, don't get me wrong, especially when the crowd's going, but at the end of the day, as a defense, we have to have the mentality, no matter where the ball is, no matter what's going on the other side of the ball, we have to go out there and defend every blade of grass. So I don't think it's necessarily that. I think it's more just execution when we watch the film, whether if it's guys not being in the right gaps on defense in the run game or being able to keep our leverage on in the pass game and things like that. Then obviously you have some subjective stuff, you know what I mean? You have the penalties, the PIs, stuff like that. You can argue up and down, but at the end of the day, referees aren't perfect. They're gonna screw some stuff up. They're gonna get some calls right. It's just kind of how the game goes. So you just got to be able to fight through all that.
All set?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.